Nehemiah says, then I looked over the situation, and it says, I called together the nobles and the rest of the people and said to them, don't be afraid of the enemy. Remember the Lord, who is great and glorious, and fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, your homes. Can I tell you right now, Mel Gibson and Braveheart, they stole something right here. This is Nehemiah right here. This is Nehemiah face painted halfway, riding on like a horse with that skirt thing, right? And he's like, we're going to fight. We may die, but we'll never lose our freedom. Like this epic moment is happening right here. And he says this, he says, don't be afraid. You're told of enemies on all sides of you coming and killing you. He says, don't be afraid. But he says, this is why. Remember the Lord. Remember the Lord. Remember how great He is, how glorious He is, how sovereign He is. Remember that He has chosen this nation, these people, to do something. So remember that God will continue to fulfill it. But He doesn't end there. He's not like, hey, just remember God and be good and we'll move on. No, He's like, hey, remember God. He's going to provide, but now it's our turn to step up. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to fight. We're going to fight for our brothers, our sons, our daughters, our wives, our homes. Like I hear this moment, and I gotta tell you, when I read this, I'm in the shoes of them, and I'm like, man, I'm ready. Right? When you hear, I'm ready. Like, yeah, we got this. I'm gonna fight for my brothers and sisters, for my daughters, for my wives, for my homes. We're gonna get together. We're gonna keep this thing because this is ours. You ain't stepping on ours. And I tell you, when I read this, the first thing that comes to my mind is a reality that I think we all face in our own personal lives and as a church. That too often when we face opposition, there's two reactions. You can be negative, positive, right? You can be a pessimistic or you can be optimistic. And just this last week, I was talking with one of our pastors, and we were just talking about like ministry and life, and it just seems like so many people right now are so like negative, pessimistic about everything. And can I tell you, as I read this, if Nehemiah had a reaction that many of us have throughout our lives, this is what it would be. He would hear, hey, everyone's coming on all sides, they're going to kill you. And Nehemiah would be like, oh man, like, I really thought my idea was cool, but I guess not. Like, well, I'm going to get my stuff and go home. Like, that's how the response would be that many of us have. But Nehemiah knows his calling and his vision, and he's going to move forward with that no matter the opposition. And it's being optimistic about something and positive, knowing that God still is in control, that we can do something. So he says this statement with his people to encourage them. And he says, remember God. And I want you, maybe some of you today, you have lost some sight. You've lost your vision. You've missed certain things because you're so focused on what is negative around you, on what is the oppression around you. And maybe what you need to hear is, hey, remember God, remember His faithfulness, and now stand up and fight. Fight for your marriage. Fight for your home. Fight for your career, for what God is calling you to. Fight for that job, that thing, that entrepreneurship that you're stepping into. Fight for your church. This is what's being said in this moment that begins to, if we can see it and recognize it, it's this epic moment where Nehemiah reminds the people what matters most. That God has already promised it and He will provide it. And even though we're experiencing some of this force against us, we will continue to succeed as long as we continue to recognize.